Because I feel that many directors, without naming them, have done what is considered or what people consider their best work with you. And it's a two-way thing, I feel, that you also...
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. So I do bring a lot of strengths to the table. I must tell you, my upbringing and my childhood has got a lot to do with it. Because I've never been to film school.
I thought that you got wanted to be self-aquatic.
No. So what happened is, because I was interested in stories, like a lot of children are interested in listening to stories. I was one of them. So that fascination of listening to stories was so strong in me that a lot of writers and directors would come to my house to pitch stories to my father, who was a producer, and my uncle, who was a director. So whenever there was a person at home narrating something to my dad, I would hide behind the curtain and sit and listen to the story, because I was really interested in listening to the story. After some time, my father got to know. My father was a very strict person, and I was very scared of him. So that's why I used to hide behind the curtain. Didn't have the courage to ask him. But when he found out, luckily he didn't shout at me. Instead, he said, "Wah kya bete ho?" Yeah. So I was like, oh, I can sit with that. And then from the age of 6 or 7, up till the age of 17, because at 18 I became an assistant director. Until that age, almost every script that my father heard, I had heard. And that's many scripts in a year. And I grew up in that atmosphere. So like, how you have a Gurukul training, कि आप रोज सीख रहे हो. ऐसा नहीं कि there's no class.
It's almost like a riyaz.
It's daily. And in fact, in my house, my mother was also very enthusiastic about films. And she also comes from a film background. Not many people know that my mother's uncle were Fazli brothers, who used to make films in the 40s. So she grew up in that family. In Mahim, they used to live in Mahim. So she lived with them in a young age. So she's also a film person. My dad is a film person. All of us 4 kids. See, all of us feel we are film people. Even if we don't know about films, we though feel we know the best. So at dinner tables, at home, lunch, after dinner on a Sunday, constantly we used to be discussing, arguing about films. And so I think that was my training period, those 5-6 years to 16, 17 years was my training period. And I heard a lot of stories, and not just that, I heard a lot of discussions that used to happen after the stories between the directors and the writers and my dad. And I think slowly I started, without realizing it, picking up, because at that time I didn't know I was going to be in the films. Today when I look back, I realize that was my training. And which is why my understanding of scripts perhaps is slightly better, is because I've spent so many years in that, while growing up.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the reason. In fact, it's very strange. I read a book called, or rather I was recommended a book called The Art of Dramatic Writing. So The Art of Dramatic Writing is a book on writing for theatre, but it applies as well for cinema. And I can't remember, I think it was Bhatt Saab, or who was it who told me you must read this book? I think it was Bhatt Saab. So I got the book and I started reading, and I was like, I know all this. Because that's what I learned growing up, It's damn funny. So each chapter, so I read the first chapter. This is the truth. I read the first chapter in detail. It's about premise. And then I read the contents, characterization, subplot, see why. I said, oh, I know all of this. So I've not read the book after that. And the funny part is I recommend it to everyone. But it is a really good book. So I just tell you about the first chapter. Talks about premise. Aap banana kya cha rahe ho? What do you want to make? What are you trying to say? So I remember when I was a kid, my father, narration used to get over, and my father would tell the writer, आप एक लाइन में कहानी सुनाएंगे, आपकी कहानी क्या है, एक लाइन में बोलिए. अगर एक लाइन में नहीं बोल सकते तो आपकी फिल्म चले ही नहीं. So I used to get very amazed that he's just taken 3 hours to tell the story. How can he say it in 1 line? Poor chap. It's a very unreasonable demand you're making of the writer. एक लाइन में बोलो कहानी क्या है. And at that time I used to find it unreasonable. But then I realized, if you read the first chapter of this book, the first chapter and the most important chapter is saying you need to know what you're trying to say. आप बोलना क्या चाह रहे हो? What is your premise? Lagaan. What are you trying to say? Where there is a will, there is a way. Kayamat se kyamat tak. What is the one-line story of Kayamat se kyamat tak? True love can never be defeated. It conquers even death. दोनों साथ में बढ़ते हैं. So in one line you're telling this. So मैं ये कहना चाह रहा हूँ. Yeah. A lot of Hindi films have a very common premise, which is good always wins over evil. So this is a very common premise. Most films you will find this the premise. So I realized that period was the real learning for me. You know, even something like what is a premise I actually learned when I was 7 years old. You know, एक लाइन में नहीं पता मैं क्या है आपकी कहानी. दंगल. What is it? मारी चोरियां छोड़ो से कम है कि एक लाइन में पूरी कहानी. क्या? So that's a very these are things I picked up, and I think my strengths with scripting is because of my childhood that I spent a lot of time with writers. So when those are the ones that are not good. So when you're asking me, you know, do you get confused that my decision is wrong? Actually, so far my decision has been right. So I feel rather confident, actually, to be honest. Because, for example, you know, Thugs of Hindustan, it did not do well. I was not very happy with the film, and I was not expecting it to do well. And it did not do well. So one of the few films I thought would do well and did not do well was Lal Singh Chaddha. Actually, I thought it was quite a good film. But I have to accept that, you know, a lot of people didn't connect with it. And that was a learning for me. Yeah. So it didn't make me doubt myself. See, you have to also remember that filmmaking is an extremely difficult process. There are certain stages of filmmaking, and there are about 10, 15 of them. You can go wrong in any one of them. And if you go wrong in any one of them, most likely your film is not going to work. Right. So it's the writing process. You have to get the writing bang on. Then the prep. The casting has to be perfect. The locations have to be perfect. You know, your collection of the crew is so important. They're going to make the film. So the prep becomes a very important. If you make mistakes in the prep, you're going to have trouble in the shoot. Then the shoot process. You have to get every decision right in the shoot. Which takes you're okaying, which you're not. Is the scene coming out the way it should come out? This applies to every scene. Thousands of things can go wrong on set. Once you've shot it, you can go wrong in the editing. Once you've edited, you can go wrong in the sound. Once the sound treatment is excellent and the sound design is great, you can mess up the film in mixing. With great sound and everything, if I just mix it badly, it'll sound horrible. And if I've got all of that right, I still need a good release date. I need a good promotions. I need good marketing. You know? So, if you get all of these steps right, then your film works. So it's easier to make a flop, very difficult to make a hit, if you know what I mean. Marketing perspective. Period. So people ask me, why did you go to Oscar? I said, because of the marketing. If my film gets nominated or it gets selected, wins, then the entire world window opens up for our Indian film. So from a marketing point of view, that interests me. I'm not interested that these people are going to tell me my film is good. You all have already told me my film is good. Why am I checking with them?
Lots and sincere, of course.
But put their emotion in it. At least we must respect that. Yes, he did not like the film. But I never make fun, you know, of people who fail in filmmaking because I feel it's a difficult thing.
Now we've gotten Aamir Khan to this position that when I go to see an Aamir Khan film, there is automatically the expectation कि इसका कुछ खास जरूर है. Do you take that pressure? You know what I'm saying, right?
It's a deadly pressure. It's a deadly pressure.
So do you take that pressure on yourself?
Yeah.
Because you said you just selected.
Yeah. I get very scared. Yeah. Because each time with every passing year, the expectations are going higher and higher. Now I'm wondering now what I'm supposed to do.
Palm Dior.
Sorry?
I said Palm Dior.
No, all that I'm not interested in. Audience award is the best award.
But you have made a Delhi bell.
Audience award is the best award.
But running a film festival, don't you ever wish to win Palm d'Or or just nominated ladies?
No, I don't, yaar. Abhi main kya karu?
That's a matter.
But what prompts you? I'll tell you why. What prompts you to ask this?
And so I'll answer your question. See, I've been to film festivals as a jury also.
Yeah.
So I know what happens and how these awards are given.
That's why we love Aamir Khan.
No, I'm taking you.
That's why we love Aamir Khan.
तो मेरे को पता है क्या होता है वो सब. I'm saying, and I'm not blaming anyone. You see, I was in a jury once, and there was, I don't want to name the festival and all. It's not nice. I've been in two juries, and in both the juries, the discussions were so absurd. I couldn't understand what's happening. For example, in the first jury, every time an American film would come for consideration, all the remaining members would say, that's an American film. They didn't even want to consider it because of its nationality. I was forced to stand up and tell the jury, we are not supposed to measure films based on their nationality. It's irrelevant where the film is from. We are only supposed to judge the merit of the film. आप country का नाम क्यों ला रहे हो बीच में? This is in a top festival. So see the thinking. If I was not sitting there, you understand what I'm saying? In another festival, there was this film called, I don't want to name it, I won't say. Anyway, it was a very good film. Let me put it this way. It was a fantastic film, one of my favorite films. और उसी फेस्टिवल में और भी अच्छी फिल्में थी और भी अच्छी और बुरी दोनों थी. So the entire jury wanted to give the award to one film. And that film, I don't know whether you can call it a film also. I'm not sure. The reason they wanted to give that film the award is because the filmmaker was a very highly regarded offbeat filmmaker. Highly respected filmmaker. His film was also in the running, so they all wanted to give him.
Yes.
So I only asked the jury one question. I said, tell me the story of that film. मेरे को कहानी बता दो. 100% उसको award दे देंगे.
In one line.
No, in 30,000 lines. I gave them the full scope. I said, take as many lines as you want.
Yes.
Then I made them realize what they were going to give the award to. Then I fought. Have you seen Ek Ruka Hua Faisla? 12 Angry Men. Like 12 Angry Men, I fought, and that film, which was a really good film, finally got the award.
You think it's photo?
I had to win over each person one by one with my discussion. But what I'm trying to say is that at best, we are incapable of judging good films. And at worst, we are corrupt. So which is why I feel कि यार यहाँ पे मैं time क्यों waste कर रहा हूँ? मैं audience के लिए film बना रहा हूँ. Who am I making the film for?
Yeah.
Audience. Audience is liked it. I've got my award. I am not searching for any other award after that. We are roughly the same generations. Have you seen Mother India?
Yeah.
You liked it? What is the business?
I know it's a blockbuster.
अमर पर एंथनी हमको सबको अच्छी लगी ना. धंधा क्या है बताओ? नहीं पता. क्यों नहीं पता? क्योंकि धंधा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है भाई. आपको दिल में क्या फील हुआ है वो इंपॉर्टेंट है. So for films, what the film has made you feel is important in the long run. Nobody remembers the numbers after 3-4 years. Why 3-4 years or after 2 years? You want to remember the numbers. So at the end of the day, what kind of impact are you having on people's hearts and minds? That is the big kicker, according to me. You're not going to remember, we remember Sholay. What is the business of Sholay? Does anyone know? I don't think anyone knows the business of Sholay. I also don't know. It doesn't matter. So I'm saying that if I was to pursue only numbers, then I can't do films like Lagaan or Taare Zameen Par or Taare Zameen Par for that matter. Dangal. See, these films went on to do great business. But at that time, you can't, before the release, you can't predict that. So if I am going to predict, if my priority is that I want the next 500 crore film, then I can't think only like that. I'll be playing in a different stadium. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm only interested in taking great stories and, being a part of a great story and touching people's hearts and minds, and souls. That is of far more value, I think, than the box office finally.
Yes.
Really, this should be transparent. What are we hiding? We know how many screens the film is released in. All we need to, and there are these rent track, is it called rent track? Where you get the numbers, in the US. You come to know what the collections are. I don't know. So that's how it should be. I don't know. There should not be secrecy about numbers.
Right. I just got a little curious because now that has become almost like an evaluative criteria.
Yeah, because it's unfortunate. Because what happens is people are comparing films based on the numbers.
Yeah.
Earlier, we never did that. We would compare films based on how much we liked it. But these things come and go. They come and go. Ultimately, you only remember a good film. You won't remember numbers.